We hear it all the time. The American dream.
The American dream is...
The American dream is...
The American dream.
Generally, images of white picket fence homes, wealth, success, and happiness might come to mind, but what does that actually mean?
Or coming to America and working really hard.
Being anybody that comes from anywhere that can really achieve what they feel is their highest capability.
basically getting a better life than what they have now.
Let's take a closer look. Google defines the American dream as the ideal that every U.S. citizen should have an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. But is equal opportunity a reality? And is hard work enough to pull people up the socioeconomic ladder? Let's look at another one. Investopedia says that the American dream is where upward mobility is possible for everyone. And Wikipedia says that the American dream is a national ethos that includes the opportunity for upward social mobility. We're hearing that phrase mobility a lot, but what exactly does that mean? Mobility is defined as the ability to move up and down the social ladder. If you delve a little bit deeper into economic mobility, specifically the ability to decrease or increase your income, then we realize that there are two types of measures. Absolute mobility is the literal measure of money, which in America generally increases over time and generations. As you can see from a study done by the Economic Policy Institute in 2015, there is generally a high percentage of children who do better economically than their parents across all income levels. However, the real measure comes with relative mobility. This measures progress based off of social hierarchy, so compared to how well everyone else is doing around you. Unfortunately, America hasn't been doing so hot there. There's yet another phenomenon called stickiness at the ends. If you're in either end of the spectrum, poor or rich, there's a lot less chance for social mobility. According to that same study done in 2015, for all those born in the bottom income quintile, 44% are still in that quintile as adults, and only 22% can rise to the second quintile by adulthood. On the other hand, 47% of those who are born in the top quintile stay there as adults. Those born in the middle tend to move more freely across the spectrum. This research seems to suggest that the American dream ideals of working hard and being successful aren't necessarily applicable to how the population actually lives. So why do we still believe it? Chances are you know someone who embodies the American dream for you.
When I think of the American dream, I always think of my dad because he came to America when he was a child from Korea, and now he's working as a dentist and he has a very successful company, and he's had a lot of success and I think achieved his version of what he thinks the American dream is.
For example, my mom lived in Mexico, and she was she came here to give us a better life.
Based on personal experiences, people tend to keep their beliefs that working hard is all you need to be successful, no matter where you come from. It makes sense, since it worked for them. Not only that, but we're also constantly surrounded by the glittery rags to riches stories.
Certain people like Bill Gates or Elon Musk, they worked really hard to get to where they're at.
These famous figures, alongside others like Oprah, tend to be who we refer to as the ones who made it. In reality, their stories are much less common than the ones who didn't make it, but they're much more publishable. So we see people like that on the news with book deals and TV shows, and we start to think that anyone can do it too. But is that true?
I don't know if it's necessarily achievable for everyone.
Sadly, no. I think it's something that is very advertised and put forth to everybody around the world, but it's definitely not something that's achievable for everybody just because of the inequalities all over community.
I don't think so, because say there's a scenario where you live in a really poor neighborhood or city. No matter how hard you work, I think that because of how American institutions are, it's going to be super hard for you, no matter how hard you work.
Data clearly shows significant income disparities in the US. So what are some of the factors that actually play into these income disparities? In a study done by Devah in 2003 on the hiring of criminals and race, blacks were less likely to be called back for an interview than their white counterparts, both with a criminal record and without a criminal record. Race undeniably plays a part in hiring practices, as has been shown by many other studies since then. In several other studies, women and minorities were found to have significant barriers that block them from advancing up the corporate ladder to executive positions, which since then has been dubbed the glass ceiling. Race and gender are clearly factors in how wealthy or successful a person can become, among many other factors. It's not just about where you start, but success might also hinge on your identity as well. So we ask ourselves again, is the American dream a reality? Unfortunately, until all of these factors are no longer limiting people from upward mobility, equal opportunity for all is just a myth.